And we are back. Another outstanding episode of the Square Table Degenerates. Today, we welcome to the show former wrestler and actor, Mr. Frank Huguelet, also known as Ric Savage. How are you today, brother?
What's going on, baby?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Are you? Where are you calling us from? Where are you at today these days?
I am in the Great Smoky Mountains of North Carolina.
Okay, so you never moved from when you were a baby. You were like born and you just stayed in the same spot most of
No, I did. I moved. I was upstate, in New Jersey for about 20 years. So I've only been back here the past 5 years.
Okay, where in New Jersey were you at?
I was down in South Jersey, a town called Pennsville.
Okay, I was
Exit 1.
Okay, I was in McGuire Air Force Base back in 08. It was I think it's a Cherry Hill was the closest town, but that wasn't really close. It was a little further away.
Yeah, Cherry Hill. I ran a furniture store in Cherry Hill for what I call the lost year of my life.
They have furniture store. There's a furniture right here at this hotel, at this Home 2 Suites, wherever the hell it's called. There's a Value City furniture right next door. It makes me laugh because I was out there because, like, dude, I obviously can't smoke weed in the hotel room, right? So, like,
why not?
I mean, it's a $250 fine, and I'm here for work. Like, the work would not.
Bro, go in the bathroom and just blow it into the vent and keep the door shut. I've been told. I mean, I don't know personally, but I've been told then you'll never have a problem.
Yes, sir. Well, dude, it's weird. I think I did that one time many, many years ago, but like, I've never, like, my whole weed career has been after I got out, and it's always been legal pretty much. So it's like I don't really have to hide it. So I usually just go outside and smoke. But I don't. I mean, it's just been really hot. Like over the only really good place. Cause the first day I was here, I got here last Sunday. No, was it Sunday? So yeah, no, Monday. But the first night I was just smoking right by the entrance over there, and I think somebody said something because this one guy gave me a side eye, and the guy at the front desk walked out later, and like looked at me. So that's when I switched it to the back, but it's like, it's really hot too, man. I don't like smoking weed when it's hot. I like weed in the air conditioning.
I'm telling you, just sit in your bathroom with the door shut and just keep the door shut with the fan going and the light on. You'll never know. It'll be gone overnight. You'll wake up the next day, you never know. Promise you.
I'll have to put somebody say you got to put a wet towel on the bottom thing too. I don't know.
I mean, no. I mean, not that I've heard. I mean, again, not me. I'm a saint and all, but all right. If I was going to do it, that's what I would do.
Back to North Carolina. Now, legend has it you were born on like a mountaintop, right? And then you just kind of grew up from there. Now, is your folks mountain people? What did your kin do? Like traditionally down there? Because like usually down in the North Carolina, you got, isn't it? There's trades and stuff. Don't you like usually do what your dad did kind of thing? What did your people do?
Well, I'm kind of an anomaly because my father was an English professor who specialized in 19th century poetry and John Milton. My mother was a librarian. And here I came, became a Ric Savage pro wrestler. Everything my parents really didn't like and didn't care anything about is what I became. But so my roots up here in the mountains, it's on my mother's side. They go back almost to actually past the American Revolution. We had a family that fought in the Battle of Kings Mountain and the Revolutionary War. Obviously, we had many relatives that fought for the Confederacy and the Civil War. And our family owns land here that we got in the land grant well over 100 years ago. So we're the only people that have ever owned this land in centuries.
That's awesome. Well, you are the old school South. That's awesome, man. That's yeah. My dad never owned land, but when he died and sold the house, we got that. That was cool.
Well, yeah. Well, hell, now up north, if you got a family member that dies, you're going to get $600,000-$700,000 for the house. You can go to Tennessee. You can buy a house with like 20 acres of land for that.
Oh, for hell yeah. Now, were you North Carolina is a lot of NASCAR, right? Were you a big NASCAR fan back then? And like being at Tobacco Row, were you like did you guys smoke a lot of cigarettes? Were you a young smoker? Do you smoke now?
I've never been. I've wanted the. I tried to be a cigarette smoker. I'm one of these dumbasses. I tried. I just couldn't do it. No matter how many cigarettes I smoked, they make me dizzy and nauseous. So I just never was able to pick it up as a habit. And again, I tried hard, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I smoked. I drank first. I remember and it's funny, Rick, because like I was 15 when I first started drinking. I was in high school, right? And my son now, he's 15. He couldn't be further away from drinking in high school like I was. Like I found I was like, oh, this is cool, and I just started drinking. This kid, Jimmy's my son. He's into like Pokemon and Nintendo Switch games, and I mean, he's basically a big.
When I was growing up, it was where's the party, who's going to buy us beer, who's got weed. That was pretty much, and where were the chicks? That was it. Everything revolved around those things. And apparently these days, that's not the case. Everybody's more, they have their own little social media world and they're, all their friends, don't you ever go outside and play with your friends? And my grandson's like, I'm playing with my friends right now, Grandpa. What do you mean? They're on the phone playing a game together. Yeah. So it's just, do I like it? I don't like it, but I mean, I'm realistic enough to say it's not going to change.
Right, because it makes me laugh, man. It's like people just don't party anymore. These young kids just don't.
Not the way we did.
Not, I mean, were we just that excessive, or is it just maybe
we had less to do in the grand scheme. Think about it. These kids now, they've got a plethora of things that they can do on their phone. They don't even have to leave the house. They don't even have to get their food. They don't have to. It's a whole different planet that you live on now. You don't have to go out with your friends and drink and party. You guys can all hang out on your phones and play games together until 4 or 5 in the morning. It's the same thing.
It pretty much is the phone, isn't it? Because think about it. Like you just said, you could date on your phone. You could order food on your phone. You could watch TV on your phone. You could get directions on your phone. You could talk to anybody in the entire world on the phone for free with an internet connection.
Check your heart rate on your phone, for God's sake. I mean, you can do everything on your phone. So these kids have a technology that we didn't have. When we were growing up, at least for me in the 80s, 3 channels plus PBS, and that was it. I lived so remote up in the Smokies with my folks that cable didn't run up to our house. So I never had cable TV. So until, I had my own place when I joined the Army, I'd never watched cable TV except when I'd stay at my friend's house. I'd never watched MTV through the 80s because I didn't have cable.
Well, you had to at least get I want to say it was NBC when it had Friday night videos. Was that NBC?
Yeah, I would get Headbangers Ball. Some of them came on, once a week at midnight or whatever. And yeah, but, my friends were all up on the videos. I've watched a lot of the 80s videos. I've watched probably over the last 10 years. Then I love the music, grew up listening to the music, but never saw the videos.
It's funny you mentioned Headbangers Ball. I had on Ricky Rackman a couple years back. He was only on for 20 minutes, but I had him on. He was a good dude. I like Ricky Rackman.
He was just up in my area. I think I saw somewhere on social media doing some kind of motorcycle ride.
Oh yeah, he does his motorcycle. Well, he sells because he used to run the Cat House out there in LA, and then he does the motorcycle runs all over the country and probably sells shit with that. I'm thinking I haven't seen him on there in a little bit, man. I don't know if I follow him anymore, but. Yeah, it's all over the place, man. Are you a motorcycle guy? I'm not. These guys know my people know that I have a Vespa that I wrecked a couple years ago. Well, not wrecked, but I flattened it a couple years ago, and I still haven't fixed it because I'm lazy. But are you motorcycles? What kind of things are you into? Like the Daredevil stuff?
I'm not a daredevil. I had a motorcycle back in the early 90s to pick up chicks with. It wasn't a Harley. It was a Yamaha Phaser, and I wrecked it twice, and not my fault, and the second wreck, a school bus came right up over the top of my head, and I thought maybe I'm just not good at this. So I've never driven a motorcycle since. I love watching them, but it's just not my thing. I'm more of I still like hunting for artifacts, whether that's out in the woods with a metal detector or or whether it's, looking for Native American stuff, digging around in a creek bed, or whether it's digging up an old privy site, or, even digging something up at a flea market or a Goodwill or a secondhand shop. I'm kind of a treasure hunter. I'm always looking for new cool stuff.
Okay, I dig that. Yeah, I got a lot of, my daughter really likes them shops too, them resale shops, the Goodwills and all that. They got a lot of money.
They used to be a lot better. I used to be able to find. I found so much sterling silver one year that I had to claim it on my taxes for when I sold it. But you can't anymore now. They pretty much they have online auctions where all the good stuff that used to end up in the stores, they cream it off when it's at the shops, and then they just put the crap out.
Yeah, that pretty much describes it. I mean, it's funny, like some of the prices at those places though, because like you'll have some, like if you bring in a video game, for example, they have no idea how to price video games. I've noticed that. You'll have like a 4-year-old copy of Madden, they'll still want $25 for it. But then other stuff like clothes, like dude, if you're ever in the market for a suit, I don't wear suits much anymore, but if you ever need something for a suit, like a coat, a tie, man, you're not gonna beat the Google prices on that. $7 for a coat, $10 for a coat.
Oh, new coat. Yeah, I'm a 56 coat.
That's hot. What do you? So you're 6'4", right? You said 6'4". What? About 300? How much you weigh?
I'm about between 310 and 315.
Okay, and that's crazy because I'm about the same height, but I'm like 240ish. I don't know, give or take. So 56. I'm trying to think what my 48. It was like 48 or 50. I think was mine. I've been as little as a 42 in a coat. Like when I first got out, when I graduated basic, my service coat was a 42, I think. But then
when I got out of basic training, I was tiny, man. I was 198 pounds.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was, many cycles of testosterone and human growth hormones later, here you are.
All right, so let's go back a little bit, man. When you was in high school, even when you were little, before that, were you in like martial arts or in any kind of sports you played in high school? What was your high school like? I played
football, and my senior year, my high school got a wrestling team. So I wrestled my senior year, and that's where I fell in love with wrestling. I mean, once I took to that, and I was like, wow, where's this been all my life? That was just my favorite thing in the world. So I got a scholarship out of my one season in high school to wrestle for a school called Pembroke State University, which was in North Carolina. Now it's called University of North Carolina at Pembroke. And I wrestled there my first semester, but I went to practice stoned, and I was sloppy, and I ended up wrecking my back, and I couldn't finish the season, so I lost my scholarship. So that's when I got out and went in the Army.
When you was in high school, what weight did you wrestle at?
Heavyweight. I was 275 pounds when I graduated high school.
Okay. And then
But I could run a 4.740.
I run like an 8.340. Well, that was last year at the Browns thing.
Well, last year, yeah, I probably wouldn't be much better. But, this is when I was like 16, 17.
All right, so you basically get kicked out of school, for lack of a better term. You're not officially get kicked out, but then you decide to join the our lovely nation's Army. Now, what did you go in the Guard? Did you go active duty?
No, I was active duty. I went in the field artillery. So, I joined I'm a North Carolina kid. I'm from a small town in the mountains, and back before the world of internet, it really was a small town in the Great Smoky Mountains. You didn't get there by accident. So, it was kind of like, I don't know where I was going with that. I had a point to make, and then damn it went right out of my head.
Oh, you were in the Army, and then you went active duty, and then you were in North Carolina boy.
So I'm a North Carolina boy. I want to go see the world, and they sent me to Fort Bragg.
Right down the road.
Yeah, first they sent me to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, which, God bless them, but I mean, it's not exactly the kind of place that if you had your choice, you'd want to be, I don't even think the people that live there particularly want to be there, and then I want to go to Germany. My buddy's like, yeah, I'm going to Germany. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Then I'm going to friggin' Fort Bragg, man. 6 hours away from home to the armpit of North Carolina to Fort Bragg, which I'm telling you, in 1988, Fort Bragg was a pit. I mean,
a lot of guys there.
Complete and utter pit. And, you know, that's where I get stationed while, you know, my buddies sending me postcards from Berlin and, you know, Prague and all these other places he's seeing. I was like, this just ain't right.
Now, what did you put on your dream sheet when you was in AIT to go? Did you, I mean, you obviously didn't put down Bragg. Where'd you put?
I was in a cohort unit. So when I signed up, it was guaranteed. The whole thing was set up. Your first tour was done.
Okay.
So you already knew where you were going.
I think he froze. Stand by.
Oh, I lost you there for a minute.
Oh, yeah, you're back. You're back now. You're back now. Yeah, you froze for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, where was I? I can't remember.
North Carolina, and I asked, oh, you said we're talking about cohort unit.
Yeah, the cohort unit meant, you know, when you signed up, everybody in your unit did the first hitch together, you know. So it sounded like a good idea, one of those deals, and it ended up in application not being a very good deal. Very hard to get promoted when everybody's at the same rank and everybody comes in together. And, you know, it was kind of, it didn't work well. But that was why I ended up being stuck at Bragg. And I was supposed to do, my last year was supposed to have been in Korea, but right before the Gulf War started, my unit, or actually prior to that, I blew my knee out wrestling. I made it onto the Fort Bragg post wrestling team.
Okay.
I won the Fort Bragg wrestling tournament in my weight class, and they cut me orders, took me out of my unit. They put me on the wrestling team, which, I mean, that's the greatest gig in the history of the world. And, you know, you go to practice at 6 a.m., you're home by 9, you're done for the day. So then I blew out my knee, and they retired me out of the Army for blowing out my left knee. So I'm 50% right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm 70%. And it's funny too, because you mentioned the medical retirement. What I'm down here for work is actually doing some of that, because like they're transitioning service members, if they get referred for a med board or they want to get benefits right when they discharge. That's what the job I'm taking over for right now. That exact job. So that makes me feel good. So
yeah, they retired me at 30%. And then the next year they dropped me to 20, and then I never messed with it until a couple of years ago. Somebody was like, "Have you ever had an increase?" I was like, "No." And they said, "Why?" And I said, "I never thought about it." So then I go, and they were the doctors were like, "You're an idiot, man. You should have been here years ago." You know, and next thing I know, I got 50%, which, as you know, that's when all the beautiful things get unlocked.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At 50, for those of you veterans, and it's funny because like I talk to, I mean, when you with the job like I got, you tend to take it home with you. So like, man, if I'm talking with somebody within 10 minutes, I pretty much ask if they're a vet and if they got their their disability compensation down pat correctly. Because a lot of these guys, man, just don't do it. I mean, it's getting a lot better now. The younger guys younger than us.
Well, nobody gave me any information when you know what? You want to hear a funny story? I never knew that I had something called TRICARE. Never knew about it. Had no clue. Since the late 80s, early 90s, I had health insurance from the government because they retired me. I got a certificate from retirement. Okay. So they don't tell me this. So I pay for health insurance through my jobs I work at, out of my own pocket. I remember when we were filming our show for Spike, I was paying $1,200 a month out of pocket for my health insurance. Okay. Not even knowing. So a friend of mine, actually, he's running for the Senate in New Hampshire, Scott Brown. We were on the phone and I was bitching about health insurance. And he said, "Well, you're retired Army, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You have TRICARE." I said, "What the hell is TRICARE?" He said, "Oh my God." He gave me the number. He said, "Just call them." He said, "They'll ask for your social security number." And sure enough, I called them. I gave them my social. They were like, "Oh, hi, specialist," you know. and yes, you're in our blah, blah plan. And I'm just sitting on the other end of this going, holy shit, I didn't know.
All right. So you're getting out the army on the medical discharge, and you're already a wrestler. How did was the transition to pro wrestling? Was that just kind of seamless? Did you fuck around college a little bit?
Once I had my knee surgery, I was in a crutches for a year, and it was in a brace and everything else. So I gained some weight, and it was crushing my ego. So I got a personal. Well, I wanted to get in shape, so I figured one of the most important things you can do to get in shape is getting a tanning bed. All right. So I went and found this tanning bed near Fort Bragg called the Electric Beach. And I walk in, and the dude behind the counter is this big, corn-fed, jacked up, tan to hell, shredded monster with a blonde, spiked flat top. And I was like, dude, who the hell are you? You don't look like that for no reason. And he said, well, I own this place, and I'm training to be a professional wrestler. His name was Chuck Smith. And he was training with Ivan Koloff. And I was like, oh man, I want to be a pro wrestler. But Ivan was charging like $3,000 for the school, and I didn't have the money. So I went home. And when I got home, this is, when God wants you to do certain things, I guess. When I got home from the army, when I ETS'd out, probably 6-8 months later, I'm with this chick that was kind of an old booty call. And she tells me her brother is running this pro wrestling school, and I ought to come wrestle. And I mean, what are the odds, right? And her brother was tall, skinny. I mean, he wasn't like the guy you think, yeah, that's a pro wrestler kind of dude. But that's how I got started, in a garage in a little town called Waynesville, North Carolina.
Okay. So what was that was the territory days still, right? I mean, they had.
It was just starting to transition out. It was when Vince started popping TV everywhere.
Okay. So it said, I read it said Wahoo McDaniel. Gee, that's a name. Fucking hell, that's a name. That's a throwback. But that was your first match on the TV. What was some of your? You were probably doing matches before that, obviously. What was did you have any notable opponents before you got on TV there?
No, before I wrestled Wahoo, I'd wrestled some old time mid card, the Executioners. I'd spent some time with them, but no big names like Wahoo. Wahoo was actually the first, big name wrestler I was ever in a ring with, and Wahoo was one that I grew up watching on TV. So it was one of the most surreal moments that I can ever remember, is standing in that ring, looking across at Chief Wahoo fucking McDaniels, and I'm getting ready to wrestle this guy. And it's almost like, is this real? Am I really doing this shit? That was my first TV match, and Chief liked me. So he saw that I had some potential, and he mentored me and did a lot for me over the years, up until, obviously I got out of the business.
Okay. Now, did you win or lose? I'm assuming you lost. And do you remember?
Oh yeah, it was a squash match. It's on. If you go on YouTube, you can punch it in. It's there. Ric Savage, Wahoo McDaniels.
Okay. What happened? Did you submit, get pinned? What happened?
Nah, I took the big chop.
Okay. Nice. Now, how'd your name, Ric Savage? Was that like a combination of Macho Man and Ric Flair? Was it just coincidence? What happened there? How did you get that?
Well, I was talking to Ivan Koloff, and I was throwing, you're always trying to come up with a gimmick. And Ivan was like, well, who are some of the people you like, Rick or Frank? And I was like, well, I like Ric Flair, I like Randy Savage. And he was like, Randy Flair. And I don't like that. No, Ric Savage. Now that's not Ric Savage. So it kind of happened like that.
Okay. Mine, now I got to think what name mine would be. So I'd have to go back. I'm trying to think who, God, because it'd probably be like, I don't know, Hulk Warrior or some shit. Because I never really watched WCW that much. Back in the 80s, the late 80s was I can't remember the name of what they call it, but that was when I first.
Stuff.
And no, it was way before the NWA. We're talking like WrestleMania 3 and on. WrestleMania 3 to like 6 or 7 or 8. That was when I was a kid and I watched most of it. So if I was to come up with the name, I'd probably be based on that. Maybe Roddy
Yeah, I
Piper.
worked with a lot of the guys. Like I worked with the late Hercules Hernandez. I did a lot on the road with Jimmy Valiant, Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson, the Rock and Roll Express, the Headbangers, Rob Van Dam, Sabu. I worked with pretty much everybody at one point.
RVG, that guy is a weed smoker, and I'm a weed smoker. And the real recognizes real, as they say. And fuck alive, I think RVD might be the highest person in the entire world because
I'm
gonna
tell you a little quick RVD story. Hopefully he doesn't hear this and get pissed at me. He probably wouldn't care. But when the first night Kid Cash and I went up to work for ECW, we were supposed to meet New Jack and Mustafa. New Jack was my hook, but of course nobody had cell phones back then. So we get to the hotel in South Philly on Penhurst or whatever the hell it was. And this place was a dump. And it was just teeming with marks all over the place. And Cash and I are pretty much on the verge of flat broke. We just had enough money to get to this place. And, we're trying to find New Jack. And of course, how the hell do you find New Jack? Then it turns out New Jack was in jail in Atlanta at the moment. So Rob Van Dam comes walking across the lobby and he goes, "Oh, hey, what's up, guys?" Blah, blah, blah. We told him what was going on. So Rob let us crash in his room on the floor because we didn't have enough money to get a room. So I remember Rob wakes up in the morning. I'm a light sleeper, especially when you're sleeping in a room you're not used to being around people. And I'm a light sleeper, and I hear him wake up, right? And then I hear his feet hit the floor, so I'm waiting for him to, go take a piss, right? No, I hear this little glass clinking noise. Then I hear a lighter. Then I hear, dude, it's like 6 a.m., And then he goes to take a piss. True story.
Wake and bake, baby. Wake and bake. That's the best way to do it. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a real wake and bake, man. You don't even take the piss first.
Well, I'd probably, if I didn't have such a weak bladder in my advanced age, I would probably do that. But I pee 5 times a night sometimes. You know how it is when you're older, man. It just comes out, bro.
Oh, I know. Trust me. Well, now that one I haven't had an issue with. Thank God. But I know what you're talking about. That one I haven't had a problem with yet. I'm not going.
When you first get into something like the wrestling and you're traveling and all that, is it baptism by fire? Do you got to earn your keep? How many days a week were you working back then?
It would depend. The more you got your name out there, the more you self-promoted, the more independent shows you did, the more promoters got to know who you were. Then, you got busier, and the trips, and all of a sudden now, instead of doing just the stuff that's, within an hour and a half, now you got people hitting you up, wanting you to come 6, 7, 8 hours, different states. So, it starts picking up as you develop yourself. And if you're good, it gets around quick. Probably a lot quicker now than it did back in the day. All you need somebody to post a few highlight reels, and all of a sudden all the promoters are like, "Hey, that guy, I wouldn't mind having him in my area." So, back in our day, it was, you had to mail videos to people and hope that they would actually take the time to pop them in a VCR and look at them,
Now, are wrestling promoters, boxing promoters, and maybe just promoters in general, are they typically sleazy? Or is that just the nature of that kind of business? Do you run into actual promoters who are wholesome, or are they just all kind of sleazy?
You got some promoters that are amazing. It's like anything else. You got some that are great, and you got some that are absolutely earned the image of the scummy promoter. You got both. I've worked with both. The promoters that I've worked with on the independent scene, one of the worst things you could do. And I remember Matt Hardy bitched at me for it because Matt always wanted a deposit. And I hated asking for deposits because people always get worried about, well, I don't know, whatever. So I would always roll the dice. And I remember I hit a show once and the promoter you got there and there was just no draw. You could feel he guaranteed me, and I know he's guaranteed all these other people. There's no money. Hopefully this guy, had a nut already, but we all know deep down he didn't. So guess what? He was trying to buck out of the building and jump in his vehicle and get the hell out of there. But God bless her, Nicola, baby doll, blocked his truck in until the boys could get out there, and he got roughed up a little bit, and they took whatever money was in his pockets. I mean, they like robbed his truck. It was ugly. I mean, he's lucky they didn't kill him, but
no, one thing you don't do is you never mess with people's money. If you promise somebody you're gonna pay him, you fucking pay him. That's just business 101, man.
I watched Greg Valentine and Hacksaw Jim Duggan one night at North Myrtle Beach with a promoter that did the same crap. And I remember Greg saying, if you don't have our money by the time I get my hair in a ponytail, we're going to fucking kill you. And Greg's old school. So those guys, it was a lot. They had to fight. I remember when I was in NWA in Texas, I got my first payday, my partner and I did, from Jim Crockett. And, we got our envelope, we're walking away, and we opened the envelope, and it was a little lighter than it was supposed to be. And I was like, oh, shit. So Tully Blanchard was he was our agent at that point, and went to Tully and was like, Tully, man, I think Crockett just porked us. And he was like, why are you telling me? He said, that's your money. He said, you need to go fight for your money. He said, if not, they'll do this to you every single time. And sure enough, we had to go stand in line again. And, he had Dick Murdoch standing there beside him, that was the muscle. And we had to go back up. And boy, it was a whole thing of hemming and hawing. And, I don't remember. But he gave us the money, though.
All right, what, you were in WCW, it says, for a little bit. And then you got told to go to Jerry Lawler's promotion. Was that a good move in hindsight?
I did WCW. I was only being used as a jobber when I was going up there. I was working with the Italian Stallion and George South, and it was just kind of like wanted to get on TV and not just be in the independent scene. And there was always the argument: do you go as a jobber and you get there and you get to know people and you get a chance, or do you never go as a jobber because it could kill your career? And there was always two schools of thought on that. But if you look at people like the Hardys, you can go from being a jobber to end up becoming, fixtures in the business. It just depends on if you got, the talent.
Is it more? I mean, a lot of it is, the talent and the mic skills. But is it more? What would you say is more? I mean, it's got to be more mic skills and just relatability than just pure muscle. No, I mean, because you got a guy like Vince McMahon. He throws out all these muscle-bound freaks, just genetic guys, but they couldn't string together a complete sentence. What percentage, in your opinion, is more, just because sometimes just have a right gimmick at the right time and it just works.
And look at Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes took his shirt off. There wasn't any woman in that audience going, "Oh my, I want a piece of that." I mean, he looked like 300 pounds of chewed bubble gum, but my God, could he light up a building? It didn't matter what he looked like. He was Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair and Rick Rude. And, what was, his wife actually gave me one of his autographed books. Oh, Bundy, King Kong Bundy. Look at all this guy. What was the key to all the big guys, even Hulk Hogan? They could talk. If you didn't talk, but you were really good, then they stuck you with Jim Cornette or Paul Heyman or, the Mouth of the South. You got a manager. If you were like awesome, but you couldn't talk for shit, like Barbarian would never make a good on an interview, but holy shit, did he look the part, right? You just got to stick somebody with him to talk.
Oh, that late 80s steroid era of the WWE, boy, yeah, some muscles in there, boy, right? Powers of Pain, Young Stallions, those guys were just like, you talk about Dusty Rhodes. My favorite Dusty Rhodes line. Well, he didn't do it, but Jesse Ventura was on the commentary, right? And it was a mixed tag match. It was Dusty and Sapphire. You remember that Black Girl Sapphire shit at WWF? Yeah. And they were like a combined weight of 500 pounds or something. And Jesse Ventura was like, I didn't know Dusty Rhodes only weighed 200 pounds.
Oh,
fucked
Dusty.
up, but goddamn, that's funny, bro. That
Dude,
is so great.
my first match for WCW, they had me go out and get squashed by Max Payne on his first match on television for WCW. So they had me put Max over. And before they said, go over it was at Center Stage in Atlanta. They said, go and find Dusty. Dusty's got to approve you. And I walk in a room and there was Dusty sitting there, and I said, I'm, Ric Savage he looked up at me and was like, yeah, you'll work. And that was it. And I went back and I wrestled the match and was done. That was truthfully the only time I interacted with Dusty in my career.
Okay. Yeah, I like his kids too, man. Goldust and it's weird. I like Goldust more than Cody. I can relate to Goldust a little bit.
He came up the hard way.
He did. Didn't he put in some work, right? Get some shitty gimmicks too.
Remember my God. I mean, Goldust was the biggest fuck you gimmick ever. Next to putting Dusty in polka dots, or giving poor what was his name, the Red Rooster gimmick.
Oh, the Terry. Oh, dude, I was obsessed with
Terry Taylor, and Terry Taylor was a great worker, man.
They were having him go. Oh. I can't even do it. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell? I mean, it's almost like, let's destroy this guy, But I think he still works. I think he's probably been doing behind the scenes there for 20 years.
Yeah. I know. ECW, you wasn't there too long. How long was you in ECW for?
I worked maybe 4 or 5 shows with them.
Okay.
And then I got out of wrestling for the most part.
So you were, I mean, you didn't stick around too much in many of these promotions, right? You were just kind of seems like it's more of a passing thing than like a career. Would that be fair to say for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was all I did for 7 years.
Okay.
Because I wrestled 3 to 4 nights a week, because on the indie scene, plus whatever else I could get. Plus I did a ton of Jimmy Valiant taught me how to do Walmart autograph sessions, where you could go and sell your gimmicks and make money. The old school guys knew how to hustle gimmicks like nobody's business. So, I made a pretty decent living at it for a while. But when I met my wife, she had kids, and the lifestyle with wrestling I didn't want to give her kids a bad example. And at that point in my life, what I was doing, it would not have been a good example.
Okay. Now, did you ever get close to getting a crack at the WWF, or was that?
Yeah, I did. Actually, Wahoo had called Jay Strongbow, who was a friend of his, and Strongbow was going to bring me up for a dark match the next time they came to the Fayetteville to wrestle, because that was the closest to me. And I remember coming home Kid Cash and I had been doing shows in Tennessee, and I come back to my apartment and I hit the answer machine, and it was a message. I wished I'd have saved it, from Jay Strongbow saying, I got your tape, talk to Wahoo, we're going to bring you to Fayetteville. Well, somewhere in between, Jay Strongbow has a heart attack, and while he's out on convalescent, they fired him. So there went my dark match.
What was your were you going to be Ric Savage there? What was your gimmick going to be?
Well, when I went to ECW, Paul Heyman was like, Savage, because of Randy Savage. So they called me Rick Rage when I was in ECW. And I probably would have kept Rick Rage, because that was kind of cool. It still fit. I like Savage better. I remember Bill Apter. I changed my name, tried to change it once before, and Bill Apter from Pro Wrestling Illustrated said, dude, leave it at Rick Savage. That's a good name. So
there's a name I ain't heard in a minute. Bill Apter. Fucking hell. I used to love PWI back in the day, man. They had Eddie Elmer, and that was cool. God, I haven't said those names in probably 30, 40 years, man. That's crazy. That used to be a big deal if you made it into, PWI's top 500. I used to sit there, and the thing I loved about PWI, because I had both magazines at some point, PWI or the WWF magazine. And the thing I liked about PWI was I would always go to the back and read the top 10 list. I don't know why I liked that. I just really, really liked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's
All right.
changed a lot, man.
Oh,
Definitely is if I was a wrestling fan today, it doesn't have the same vibe and soul it used to.
well, I think a lot of it is just the fact that the internet. I mean, these guys are so accessible now. I mean, back in the day,
It's
you
so
could have a guy
commercial.
like Andre the Giant. He could just go to different things because you didn't know where he was. He could do it. But now, everybody has, and there's only one or two companies. I mean, there's no independent companies. I mean, there is independent, but you get what I'm saying. It's just a
Yeah,
different
there's
dynamic.
only the only people that are making money are, WWE, NXT, and TNA and AEW. And it would probably we'd be surprised at who's really making money
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean,
out of all those.
I've never booked a wrestling show, but I booked, comedy things and stuff like that. If you think about all the stuff that goes into a wrestling match, I mean, if you say you got a card of, I mean, your minimum card, the smallest card probably be 5 or 6 matches, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's 15 people on that card at least, probably more. You got to have a referee, probably got to have a ring bell guy. If you don't have volunteers for that,
And you got to have a PA system. You got to have a place for the guys to change. I mean, if you know what you're doing, I watched. I worked with some good promoters out of Shelby, North Carolina, in June. They were amazing. I mean, they come, boom, set up their ring, great PA system, great announcers, great matches, boom, boom, bang, in and out, gone. I was like, they had it down to a science.
oh yeah, and a lot of these wrestlers, man, even it makes me laugh. Does not laugh. It makes me kind of, I don't know what the word is, empathetic. But like I see all these wrestlers, even in their later years, they're going into their 50s, 60s, 70s, they're still just to make the ends meet. Still got to sign autographs and take pictures at these shows, and there's no retirement plan. There's no WWF pension. You know what I mean? It's all just independent contractor until you die, pretty much. Isn't that wild?
Unless you were really smart and invested your money really well, or you're still somehow in the world of entertainment making money, like John Cena and these guys that do movies. Yeah, it's it is what it is.
Yes, sir. All right. What was it? The knee that made you just give up wrestling? What was what finally decided you to just be like, you know what, I'm done?
Well, I've had 3 back surgeries, my left knee reconstructed, so I've had a few concussions. After a while, it was just kind of like deep down in your gut if you've still got another shot, you'll feel it. And I just didn't feel it. And I was like, I don't want to just ride around doing independent shows. I got to make a living. And so that's when I got out of it.
Okay. Did you go right into Hollywood? Well, you're not necessarily Hollywood, but like TV and all that. What was your first?
No, actually, I got totally out of everything. I got into the automotive aftermarket. I was a vendor selling, aftermarket chemicals and, very little, but I was still digging and doing all that stuff because that was my hobbies. And then eventually, Spike TV and Gurney Productions got a hold of us and said, "Hey, we'd like to make a show about your business." So
that is, and I'm assuming that's the Savage Diggers, correct?
yeah, American Digger the first season, then they changed the name to Savage Family Diggers the second season.
Okay, so there was 2 total seasons, or did they go beyond that?
Yeah, 2 seasons, and they're both available still on Amazon Prime.
Okay, I do have Amazon Prime. Well, the way I look at it with these services, I just get them all anyways because like chances are, I'm gonna need to watch something. Because so it's like I pay the whatever it is for Hulu, I pay whatever it is for Peacock, Paramount, etc. Because it's like, I mean, you got to look at the price of entertainment and just relate it. I mean, if I take the kids out and we do anything, it's $70, $100. And by that time, you got 4, 5, 6 apps for that kind of money,
If you and your wife alone go out to dinner, it's $60-$70 minimum, and that's if you're being frugal.
That's even if you don't drink, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you drink, you're going to be pushing 100.
Oh, if you're partying, it's a couple hundred. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, that's why. Well, I don't party anymore. I don't drink.
I'm pretty much mostly all weed now. I smoke a lot. And actually, after this, I think I'm gonna smoke some weed. I don't know what time. Oh yeah, we still got time to smoke weed. But what was the?
That does sound pretty good.
It's amazing. Isn't it wild though that we're in this? I mean, think about how different and just crazy wild the 80s and 90s would have been? Well, actually, this is a good question. In your opinion, if say weed was legal how it is now, right? And I mean, it's not necessarily legal everywhere, but it might as well be legal nationwide. And no cop's gonna really mess with you for weed typically. If it was like this back in the 80s and 90s, do you think the culture would have been different, or do you think that the 80s and 90s was just so?
I can think truthfully,
testosterone.
I wouldn't have felt the need if I could have had unlimited access to marijuana. I wouldn't have felt the need to drink alcohol.
Bingo, right there, sir.
And
right there.
I still am waiting around for the guy that got really, really, really high and then, went and shot up a place. Because I haven't met him yet. Now, I've met some guys that got really drunk and like rammed their car into a school bus full of kids and shit. But I've never met that super pothead that got so hyped up on marijuana that he went on a killing spree. I just haven't seen it.
Well, that's the thing about weed is if you smoke too much weed, you just kind of fall asleep. You don't really.
Yes. Yes, and you can't OD on it. You could smoke an entire quarter bag, and unless your lungs gave out, it's not going to kill you.
We have tried to.
Yeah, think how many beers could you drink before alcohol poisoning for a normal human being?
Oh, it's crazy to think about because if you take an average sized person, right, and they sell beer in these quantities and give them a 12-pack, 60% of people might get alcohol poisoning off of that. Not because beer drinkers, or people who drink a beer, they tend to overlook things because like you're hanging out with people who are drinking beer too, so like the numbers are skewed.
Oh yeah,
50-60% of people just don't even drink, and of that people, they might have one or two beers every, just something so minuscule they don't even think about it. So when you come in with the weed, it's we tried to overdose on weed. I've tried it many times just for the purposes of the show. We had those little things of tincture I bought up in Michigan. Each one was like 500 milligrams, and I did them like a shot, like a straight shot. And it was pretty wild. I mean, it made me laugh because it was like 19 hours I slept after the thing, but I got up and I was uncontrollable laughter, and it was right before the coronavirus broke out, and there was this meme, and it was a girl standing there, right, and it said coronavirus, and it had a V like where a pussy should be, and I just couldn't stop laughing at that. I laughed for like 20 minutes, and I just fell asleep for another 8 hours. But that's what happens with weed. You're not gonna get the
that's what happened to you. I think my dog needs to go out.
What kind of dog you got?
A Malinois.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, he's a very big one. You need to go outside, good boy? All right. How much more we got?
Oh, just 10 more minutes. Ask a couple more questions. We'll get you got it.
Is it okay if I walk?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I just didn't want to.
Oh, yeah, 100%. The first couple celebs I had on, Peter McNeely was one of them, and he did that. Walked around with the phone like that. So it's tradition.
Oh, never mind now. You sucker. You were trying to get me to get him a treat. You dick. Dick. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
All right, no problem, brother. Now what on that Savage Diggers, what was their Savage Family Diggers? Was it just basically I haven't watched the show. I admit I haven't watched it, but was it just you guys just going around? Is it kind of like American Pickers almost, or what?
It was me. The first season, it was me and my son, and then the two guys that worked with us. We went around the country. We would go to historical locations and then find private property where we could get permission to do digs. So, like, if you wanted to dig at Gettysburg, you would find private property that's as close to the battlefield that butts up against it as you can, and then get permission to dig there, just as long as you don't go on the park. So we would dig, and then whatever we would dig up, we would find a local vendor and we'd sell it. Then we'd come back and split whatever money we made with the homeowner. That was the show.
Okay.
And we were in Alaska, and we were in Brooklyn and New Orleans, and we were everywhere.
Well, out of those locations you went to, what did you have anyone that sticks out as like, okay, I really like this spot?
I liked them all, man. The Civil War ones were the most fun to me because I'm a Civil War buff. So when we did like the Battle of Cedar Creek in Virginia, that was one I really enjoyed. you know, when we did the Native American digs up here in the Great Smokies. That one had my mom in it. So, yeah, that was fun.
Okay, now to get touching on the Civil War stuff, because I love me some Civil War stuff. I mean, we're both buffs on that. It said you do tours in Gettysburg. You're just talking about Gettysburg, which is great. Now, when
I
you're
used to do a ghost show, a ghost walk in Gettysburg.
okay, now do you do these at night, right? These ghost walks? Yeah. Okay, do you dress up in like the Civil War style stuff, or you just kind of show up?
I would dress more. I would pretty much dress the way I would normally dress.
Okay.
And then my tour people, there was people that wrestling fans, people that watch my show, and I would do one tour a night on usually like Friday and Saturday nights in the summer, because at that point my wife and I were living in Gettysburg and in the Greats, and we were going back and forth. So, the weekends we were up there, I did the ghost stuff because it was great cash money and it was fun, because I had a good time doing it. I'd get 100 people and take them out for a tour and tell them stories. And there's a lot of kids, and I'm a history guy, so I was able to, give them a lot of good history that maybe they weren't picking up from some of the more, mainstream tours.
It's Gettysburg is just an awesome place, man. Because when you're walking out there and you go up to, say Little Round Top, and you're right around there, for example, you could feel that bayonet charge, right? You just feel it in the air. It's a weird feeling to describe. It really is. Because like the other one at Antietam was the bloodiest one. Yeah. And that one, you just feel death in the air. It's a reverence. It's really, battlefields are fascinating to me. They really are, especially, consider like how the wars are now. I mean, if we lose 10 guys, at a battle or something, it's news for years. Back then you lose, 300-400 guys a day. One battle would be several thousand people just dead. They had mass graves and 18 buried people unknown because they're just so mangled from the cannonballs. And it's just the way that we look at life is just so different. And that's why just battlefields, especially the Civil War. I mean, think like if this was 1864, me and you are shooting each other. It's just my work. I'm in Ohio, you're in North Carolina. That's crazy to think about now in contemporary America like that.
Yeah, it is. As I've been to a lot of Civil War battlefields over my lifetime, and I always, when you stand there and you look back, it's just like, wow. When you think of guys, with no kind of protection, with a one-shot rifle, with a knife on the end of it, running up a hill against, cannons and guys shooting down into their faces. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'd have the balls to do that,
Formations. They would march in the line, the drummer, and then just go crazy. I mean, it's just the way that we do battle is just so different. That's what makes you laugh, because I think probably the bottoming out of the way we thought about life was probably World War I, because that's when they just made it wholesale. They could mustard gas people, and the trench warfare was.
Well, the last 2 years of the American Civil War, if you look at the Siege of Petersburg, that was a prelude to World War I. It was trench warfare. It was all of that. So the last 2 years of the American Civil War were what World War I would be. And then you add machine guns and airplanes and everything else.
That Gatling gun, that's one of my favorite guns. Have you ever seen the, I want to say it's Pawn Stars. The Pawn Stars were written them by the Gatling gun, or they actually, I don't think they buy it, but they actually get to take it out and
I've seen one fired live. They're pretty impressive.
It's crazy. It's funny too, because like we don't have, like, you can't buy stuff like that anymore. I mean, if it's antique, you can, but like you can't go out and get a machine gun, or you can't go out and get a tank ring gun. You can't get a manufactured.
You can get certain guns depending. Like I've got a 1851 Enfield musket that was picked up off the Bentonville battlefield. That's the only actual Civil War gun I still own, but I've got bayonets and knives and all sorts of other things. I'm a collector, but I collect old toys. So I collect Mego action figures from the 70s, so I'm a little bit of everything.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really, I'm trying to think what collection I really have. I used to, years ago I collected baseball cards, but I haven't bought those in years. I would say now I don't know, man. It's after my parents died, and the wife's mom died too, and it's like you see what happens with collections after, or just anything. And I'm kind of like,
yeah, I know. I just watched my friend of mine who was a big collector. We collected together for years. He got cancer, died. And next thing I know, within 3 weeks, I'm helping his son liquidate everything.
Yeah, my dad had the same thing. He bought it. He was well, not that collection, but he, for some reason, he bought a bunch of just cheap Chinese guns. Like he had these tiny handgun and a shotgun, and this is stuff I would never buy. It was just, but I mean, whatever. I sold it to my one buddy, and then the shotgun I still got. But the only gun I bought is the, damn it, I haven't shot that thing in so long. It's a Springfield. The Springfield,
Yeah.
Is that it? What's the Colt? No, not Colt. God damn, what's the one in Massachusetts? That's Springfield, isn't it? Smith and Wesson.
Springfield Armory, yeah, Massachusetts.
Smith and Wesson was the gun. It's a M&P 40. That thing's pretty nice, but it's I never get to use it though, because like, I mean, I'm not a robber, bro. So
yeah, well, I where I live, we got bears and everything else around, so yeah, I stay strapped pretty much when I'm at home.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. I got one more question, and we'll get some silly questions. This music video, I didn't get to watch it. I wanted to watch it. I was going to, and then I got whatever. This Born to Be Wild. Are you a big Steppenwolf fan back in the day? How did this music?
Oh yeah, man. I loved Steppenwolf when I was a kid in the 70s growing up. I used to do Born to Be Wild to their live album, pretending to sing it. And then I had the opportunity to do it with some real rock stars and make a video and a single, which for an 80s kid was one of the greatest dreams of all time. I got to do all of that. So I worked with Carmine Appice. He was the drummer for Rod Stewart and Ozzy, and he was also with Blue Murder and Vanilla Fudge and all of that. And his brother Vinny Appice, same last name, different pronunciation, was with Dio and Black Sabbath. So Carmine did the drums. Steve Brown from Trickster did rhythm guitar. Mike Orlando from Adrenaline Mob did lead. And we had Tony Franklin, the Fretless Monster from Whitesnake, did the bass track on the track. But Greg Smith from Ted Nugent and Alice Cooper did the bass in the video. So, and then Ted Poley from Danger Danger does background vocals. He's in the video too.
Okay. Heck yeah. That's got to be this is random, but do you ever go back and watch that and laugh at it, or just, what do you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, that was one of those things. Again, I grew up in the 80s where videos were a big deal, and rock videos, and these were all the guys. I mean, come on. I grew up watching these dudes, all of them. Every one of those guys. I'm in the Army watching Danger Danger. So for me, it was just another one of those, like watching Wahoo McDaniels, across the ring. It was just like, holy shit, I'm making a video with these guys are the real deal. I'm like, why do they want to do this with me? But I better get it on film before they change their mind.
Oh, 100%. That's why I like doing this, because I get to talk to people. I've had wrestlers are easy to get a hold of, so that's why I've had a lot of wrestlers on. And I grew up watching wrestling, so you see these people, you get to talk to them. It's just like, it's kind of cool, man. I like it. I really do. All right, we got a couple more. We got some silly questions, man. I always end the show with some silly questions just to, keep it light, right? Mm-hmm. What kind of dishwashing detergent do you use?
Cascade Plus, man. The best fucking dishwashing soap on earth.
Nice. Hear that, lady? He's got a guy who's washing dishes out there. Oh, yeah.
No. My dishwasher washes the dishes, but with Cascade Plus, I could put it in with a half a rack of lamb on it, and it'll still clean that shit.
The wife never wants to get a dishwasher. We got this old one that came with the house and it broke, and it never worked.
Well, that's what his did, and then I had to go buy a new one for her because she was like,
And we still have, and I would totally go buy her one. She just doesn't want one. I don't know. That's what it is. I'm not the one who does. I mean, I still do the dishes, but the woman, the kitchen is a woman's space, and I know whatever, man. You guys can hate me out there for saying that, but any household, if you got a guy and a girl and they're living together and they're probably married, the woman is going to tell what the kitchen looks like 100% of the time. And
100% right, man.
Right. Like, I'm not going to go, oh, yeah, Kim, I'm going to decorate the kitchen. She's going to be like, the fuck you are.
Exactly. I'm allowed. I got one room, and it's floor to ceiling, and that's the only room I was allowed to decorate.
How long could you sit in a library and do nothing before you would fall asleep?
It would depend on a lot of factors, but I could probably sit for a long time, maybe an hour or two, man.
Oh, geez. Yeah,
My
not me.
mom was a librarian, dude, so I kind
Oh,
of
okay.
grew up in it.
Yes, sir. You had to do it. That's great. What is your favorite airline you've been on, and do you have a least favorite airline?
You know, it was Southwest was my favorite because I could always, they didn't assign seats, and they had this deal when I first got to the airport. I could find a gate agent, and they would give me a ticket for an extra seat for free. And then I would always have a middle seat. But now they're going to do away with that. Now they're having, assigned seating. So now they're just going to be like every other airline, charging for everything that was, you would use Southwest, say, well, I'll do them again. All of that's going away. So I don't understand how they think that's going to help their business model. People went to you because you weren't like the other guys. And the worst airline, God, that one can see, it would have to be United and American. They're pretty equal as the toilet of airlines.
Mine has got to be Spirit Airlines. It's just, and I know I shouldn't have taken it, but when we went to the Virgin Islands a couple years ago, it was the cheapest flight. And man, it was, dude, I had more room on the 130 in terms of leg room, right? I had more room on the 130 leaving the desert, leaving Iraq than I did on that seat 37B, whatever the fuck it was on Spirit in that last row. That basic economy, they need to take that shit and throw it away because I'm done with it. Fuck you, basic economy.
Hell, on Spirit, it's like they're charging you for your seat belts. I mean, they're charging you for everything.
Right? If you want the stewardess to say hello to you, it's another $5.
Yeah, that'll be $5, sir. We'll just run you a tab.
When was the last time you were at the zoo?
Wow. Oh, probably in the 1970s, probably 75, 76.
Oh, wow. He ain't been there in a minute. Okay. Have you ever been in a Ferrari? What about a Lamborghini? And do you have a favorite car?
I don't fit in Ferraris and Lamborghinis. Or Corvettes, really. They tend to design those cars for little rat-sized people, apparently. Now, my favorite car is a 1970 Chevelle Malibu.
Fast as hell.
Hell yeah. With a 400. Big block.
Do you like the Caribbean, and have you ever been to the Virgin Islands?
Never been to the Virgin Islands. I've been to Cozumel, been to Cabo, been to the Bahamas, been to what was the other one? Cancun. I'm not a tropics guy, not my thing at all. I don't like heat. I don't like crowds. I don't like third world countries. So I just going to the Bahamas, that kind of shit, not my thing.
I feel it. All right, we got a question from the chat, which is good. Have you ever ridden a bull?
Like an actual bull, the nickname for like a really, really big country chick.
I suppose either mechanical, actual, or country chick.
Not an actual bull. How's that?
What? Let's see here. In your opinion, who are the three most famous people you have met in your life?
The three most famous people, what?
That you've met in your life.
Dick Van Dyke.
Ooh, nice.
Bill Paxton. And gosh, who would be the third? I don't know. Rick Springfield? I don't know.
It's funny. Dick Van Dyke just turned 100, right? That's crazy.
Yeah, I met him when we were doing our show with Spike. We went to the Guys' Choice Awards, and he was there. And I went up and shook his hand. He gave me the Dick Van Dyke smile. I was like, it was awesome.
The Guys' Choice Awards. I got to look that up. That sounds like something right down my alley.
Yeah, man, it was cool. That was something Spike did every year. I mean, they had, let's see, who was there the night? Aaron Rodgers was there that night. Kobe Bryant. They won awards. Adam Sandler was there. All the big names were there, And we had our show, so we got to walk the red carpet. We were walking behind Kendra and Hank.
That's is Kendra from the Playboy
from the
Mansion,
reality
right?
show? Yeah. It was Jean-Claude Van Damme was behind us.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was cool as shit. I wanted to stop and talk to him, and it was like, no, you gotta move.
All right, we got another question for the chat. Have you ever ridden a unicycle?
No. Oh, are you kidding me?
Me neither.
It's size a unicycle. It would
Well,
look like a wheel growing out of my crotch.
there's an act, and I'm sure everybody who's been to any sporting event the past 15 years has seen her, but she's called Red Panda, and it's a Chinese girl, and she sits there on a unicycle and kicks the bulls up. And
Yeah,
it's cool.
Anything that involves a lot of technical movement isn't exactly my thing. I mean, I've just gotten to the point where I don't destroy patio furniture when I sit down.
That's great. All right, what period of time would you like to live that you haven't already lived in?
I don't know. That's a tough one, man. I would love to have lived probably in the 1950s.
Okay, a little Mad Max era going on. What like maybe New York? What would you move out? That's a good question. In the 50s, where would you still pick North Carolina, or would you move somewhere else?
Nah, in the 50s, I'd want to live in LA.
50s LA Confidential, right? I buy a house in every street, and then just save that house, and
Yeah.
50 years later, here you go, grandkids. Here's $8 million for this $30,000 house I bought.
Yeah, I think the median house price in California is like $800,000.
That's crazy, right? And it's even, I bought my house in 09, right? And if I would have bought, 2 or 3 houses back then for what they were asking, then just sat on them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, my goodness, 3-4 times your money right now, right? Isn't that wild?
It's crazy. Well, once they lower some interest rates, then it'll be better.
Oh, you're gonna have a whole. That's that thing that makes you laugh. We got a housing shortage now, right? And then when they lower it, because it's gonna happen, they will lower the interest rates. It will
It's
happen.
going to happen in the next, I would say, the next 90 days to 6 months.
And then everybody who just bought a house is gonna be refinancing.
Yep, big time, quick.
Right back to the thing. Oh yeah. All right, Beatles or Queen? Who would you pick out of those 2 bands?
Queen.
I ain't hesitate there. Nice. I like.
I've never been a Beatles fan, and I never liked Led Zeppelin. So,
okay. All right, and that's pretty much about it. Do you have anything else to promote? And how do people get a hold of you?
You can find me, Heavy Metal Ric Savage, on Facebook, official Ric Savage on pretty much everything else, off Ric Savage on Instagram. Not promoting anything right now. I'm just hanging and banging.
Cool. Well, Mr. Ric Savage, Frank, it's nice to have you on, brother. Appreciate it. It's an honor. It's a good time.
Hey, thank you for having me on. Boom, baby!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Join us Friday. I'm going to be back in Cleveland, and local radio guy Kenny Kidd's going to come over. He's going to come over to the house. First time I've had a person come over in a while, so it's going to be a good time. Rick, thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. We'll see you around. All right. Take it easy, guys.
All right, Zeus.